So almost 6 years ago now, I did a video on this channel about Caroline Flack and the fact that she was an abuser, and that I strongly felt that suicide does not absolve people of their bad choices and actions. This wasn't the normal thing I would cover on this channel. In fact, this channel has been quiet for quite a while because life has got busy, and I really kind of hoped that I would not need to make another video on this, but the reason that I'm doing so is the production company that produced the documentary approached me in the summer asking if they could use clips from that video, to which I agreed and to which I was paid for. I have no problem with the production company at all. I hoped that it would not give a biased view of Caroline Flack. However, as it is her mother who is presenting the documentary, of course it was biased. So it probably makes me look like a dickhead, which really I don't care about because my opinion still stands. There have been some facts that have come out since then that only change the narrative very slightly. And one situation at the time, so some things I was talking about in the video were not relevant because the partner I had at the time turned out he was abusive and lied about several things that had happened to him. So I was in an abusive relationship at that time and I couldn't see it. But the point is, I have now been in 2 abusive relationships, so I know the patterns with people. I know when people are being abusers or when they're victims who have been scapegoated. People are saying a lot of ridiculous things because the documentary lied about them and there's proof that they lied about them. So people are saying Caroline was only cautioned, which is incorrect because it went to court. The CPS do not offer cautions. It is the police at the police stations that offer cautions. The fact is they had enough evidence to take it to court, and the CPS felt it was in the public's best interests to proceed with this case. And the fact that Lewis said he didn't want to press charges at that point, he didn't want to continue, was irrelevant because the CPS will proceed with domestic violence cases if they feel it is necessary to do so, which in this case they did. Now, it transpired he was not hit on the head with a lamp. She hit him when he was asleep. They'd been drinking, so he was extremely disorientated. All that happened was he felt something hit his head and he saw the lamp smashed on the floor, so he didn't know if it was a lamp or something else. He said he was going to call the police. She threatened to break up with him if he called the police. He decided to call the police anyway, which he is within his rights to do because she assaulted him. And then she decided to cut herself in front of him to manipulate him into not phoning the police. When she realised how bad she cut herself, she asked him to phone an ambulance because she shit herself, because clearly she didn't have an intention to actually hurt herself. In this documentary, her mother says, oh, she never hurt anyone, she only ever hurt herself, which is clearly a lie because she admitted to police, and it was on the body-worn camera footage, that she did it, that she lost her temper and she hit him. And this documentary is extremely manipulative because instead of saying she hit him in anger, they manipulated the phrasing to make it sound not as bad as it was by saying she went into his phone, saw a text message, then used a forceful gesture, which basically means she hit him. A technicality in language is not going to change what happened. And the fact of the matter is, she hit him, she abused him. It doesn't matter if you get hit once, it doesn't matter if you get hit 1,000 times, it is domestic violence. And the amount of disgusting comments I've seen from women going, well, he started it, he cheated on her, he deserved it, he wasn't a man, he didn't defend her to the press. And I just think to myself, are you fucking kidding? If Caroline Flack was a man and she did this to Lewis, who was a woman, or even if she was in a relationship with Lewis and they were both women, it doesn't make it right. And she would not have had this much sympathy or praise. And her mother knows exactly what she's doing. She's enabling her child to continue to be a martyr because the only reason she didn't get charged is because she killed herself before they could give her sentencing. That's the only reason why, and no one's ever going to get closure because she killed herself. Because she couldn't cope with the fact that she knew she did something wrong. She tried to deny what had happened. She denied that there was anything wrong with going out with a 17-year-old Harry Styles when she was 31 as well, which is disgusting because he's still a child. How on earth could you think that that was okay? And there's people saying it was a PR stunt. Why would any reputable PR company want a fully grown adult to be with a child for PR? It is ridiculous. People will just come up with absolute shit to defend abusers, and it's actually a really good social experiment in a way, because it goes to show the lengths people will go to defend abusers. You know, the sad thing in all of this is abusers tend to defend their victims do tend to protect their abusers, because the abusers will tell them it will never happen again, they were just having a hard time, everything's going to be better from here on out, or the victims will blame themselves. And if you look back at the post Lewis made at the time, it rings very, very true. Now, he's been living his life for the past 4 or 5 years, getting on with his life, and he's now having to speak up and clarify some things because this documentary lied about a lot. Because Caroline and her mother twisted the narrative so much to make Caroline seem like the victim. You know, Caroline has a twin sister called Jodie, who in all of this has somehow been pushed aside because all the focus has been on Caroline. It's hard enough, right, having a sibling who's famous and you're not, but to have your twin be treated differently to you by your own mother, it's sickening. It really is sickening. And I've seen clips of the previous documentary where her mother's just, oh, Caroline was so sweet and so innocent, she was so sensitive, blah, 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 blah. Listen, love, I don't give a shit how fucking sweet and innocent you think your child was, because clearly she wasn't. She had a lot of issues. And Andrew Brady, who she was with prior to Lewis Burton, alluded to the fact that she was abusive to him. I remember specifically at the time he released text messages showing how volatile their relationship was, and they disappeared off the internet. And that's probably because he was advised to do so legally. And people are going to say, well, Andrew Brady, you know, he went to court for harassing Dan Wharton. Dan Wharton is a is a racist, misogynistic, bigoted piece of shit. If you've seen some of the stuff he comes out with, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not saying what Andrew Brady did was right, clearly not. However, Dan Wharton is not this amazing person. So people using that as, you know, well, Andrew Brady's a liar. But, you know, it's possible to be a bad person and also be abused. You know, those two things, you know, it can exist. And my viewpoint is still the same. She's still an abuser. It doesn't absolve what she did. I'm actually really happy to see more women speaking out and saying, well, she was an abuser. It doesn't excuse what she did. Because at the time, it was all women attacking me. And the irony is these women always tell people to be kind, and yet they say the worst possible things you can imagine in the comments and excuse behaviour. You know, unless you've lived for abuse, unless you've seen it play out in front of you, you are not going to understand what it looks like, the nuances with things. You know, and the fact is, when she had the police interview, the police said she was not remorseful at all. She was rude to them. She was very aggressive and angry. And then afterwards, she did a tearful voice note to her mother. So it clearly shows she knows how to manipulate people to get what she wants. And she acted like a little girl, you know, and it was weird that she was on a TV program with people 20 years younger than her, you know, wanting their friendship and things like that. It's just really unsettling, you know, and I wish that there was an unbiased documentary that came out. I was hoping that by using these clips that they bought from me, that they would show an unbiased side, but no, they haven't. They've gone completely the opposite direction, so I'm actually quite disappointed in them for allowing that to happen and misleading me in some respects. But anyway, I just wanted to retort and just give my updated verdict, which is I still believe the same. So, sorry.